Hello, I'm Lee Bernick, Dean of the Greenspun College of Urban Affairs, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Urban Report. Today we have as our first guest a colleague, a friend of mine, longtime partner, David Fromer, who is the Executive Director of Planning and Construction. I say he's a longtime partner. David was in charge of the responsibility for this building. And so we've been working together for more than 5 years, maybe closer to 7 years in this. David, I've asked you to come on today because right now at the university we're working on, and I guess you're really working on, the master plan for the university and the campus. What's a master plan? Let's just start with a basic thing. What are we doing with a master plan?
Sure. Well, one, thanks for having me on the program, Lee. It's a pleasure to be here. In terms of the master plan, to use our resources effectively and really plan a campus that takes advantage of our land and focuses in on the key initiatives, really the university strategic plan, we conduct a master planning process and create a master plan so that we can develop the campus effectively, efficiently, and to support the key goals and objectives of the institution. So it's really a roadmap of how the campus will physically develop to support the institution we see UNLV becoming in the future.
Okay, and we're doing this now, so this is for 2012. The last master plan was when?
The last full master plan update was in 2004.
Okay, and I wanted to mention that because I think that master plan in 2004 had some impact about our building, where we are right now today. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We did an update to our master plan in 2004, which I would describe as taking some of the really great things about the campus, the mall system and some of the newer development on campus at that point, things like Lead Library, and creating kind of a more dense campus that was better organized, had better open space, went more to a structured parking model as opposed to a lot of surface parking so we could use our resources more effectively. Out of that master plan, one thing we didn't do very well was deal with the Maryland Parkway edge on campus. The history of campus has been very internal in terms of the experience of all the great campus space. That never really made its way out to the edge and didn't connect to the community beyond very well. So really, as an outgrowth of the 2004 master plan, we did a kind of a focused update on the Maryland Parkway corridor to really create more of an urban engagement. This became the idea of Midtown UNLV, and that minor update, it's a 2006 effort that was approved by our board, really focused on Maryland Parkway, but also really set the stage for the siting of this building, Greenspun Hall, to be more of an urban engagement kind of building and really more of a key marker of welcome to UNLV, which we hadn't had in the past. So master planning did lead to the siting of this building.
Okay, so you mentioned one thing here. So the plan actually is used, right? And we do make decisions based on these plans. So these are just not hypothetical things, but we're hoping to actually then use these. Our building is where it is because of an update on the plan. And as you mentioned, we're sort of the lead into the campus and everything. Anybody that drives on Maryland Parkway can see our UNLV sign. That's our building, and lets everybody know that we're part of the university and where the university is.
That's right.
So let me ask if we can pull up our first chart, which looks at the land use on campus now and what we plan to do. So if we can do that, I'd appreciate it, please. So I think we have two graphs coming up here, and on the one graph, there's two of them side by side. One's the current picture, and the other is on the right is where we want to be or what we are thinking about.
That's right.
And so in the first one, there's lots of green and there's some blue. What's the blue area in this whole thing?
The blue is really the core academic and research area of campus. So that's really the core activities of higher education are in the blue area, which is the largest area on campus. That's really the heart of what we do here.
Okay, and then if you look in here, and one of the other things we have in here is, in the current one, there's a yellow area on the bottom. And explain a little bit about the yellow, and then if you can, explain how the yellow changes in the new one on the right-hand side.
Absolutely. The yellow area on the existing diagram on the left represents the student housing and kind of the student life core on campus. So right now we have about 1,400 available beds on campus for students, which were all at the south end of campus, right near the student union, the student rec center. So that's really kind of that student life area of campus. That's what we have today. One of the key initiatives of this master plan that's a little bit different than the past is we're looking at how can we possibly expand campus housing offerings to create more opportunities for different types of housing, more variety, and to support a greater range of students who come to UNLV and want to live on campus. We have one style of housing right now, kind of a semi-suite arrangement. We don't have on-campus apartments or, you know, more kind of varied kinds of living arrangements. So the idea is not only to provide more opportunities so different types of students and perhaps even faculty and staff could live on or near campus, graduate students, international students, and support their needs, but also to increase the amount of housing on campus and the amount of students that could live on campus so we can create more of a 24/7 campus life that's much richer in its experience and kind of much deeper in terms of how it affects the institution and creates a spirit of UNLV that we don't quite have right now.
Okay, so we're gonna have to take a break here in a minute, but let me ask you about this. So we're talking about housing. We had 1,400. We're planning on having a much bigger, and part of it is because we also think we're going to have. And we just have a second here. What's the plan in our master plan that we have up here? We have a plan for a campus with how many students?
Up to about 35, maybe a few more students in terms of head count.
35,000 students, right?
That's correct.
Right now we have about 27,000.
That's right.
And so we're going to move to 35,000. A big change in the campus. We're going to take a break right now, and then we'll come back again and talk about the master plan.
Think you found every hazard out here today? Think again. The spot you missed could be a killer. That spot on your skin could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Winston, just one more inning, Grandma.
Ever notice how many things today kids can do without actually moving? A whole lot of things their parents used to do the hard way. So many kids' activities today seem to leave out the activity part, which makes exercise even more important for children. In fact, new research tells us the best time to enhance bone development is during childhood and adolescence. And just getting children to walk an extra 35 minutes a day could spare them the pain of thinning bones later in life. Healthy bones come from healthy habits. Encourage your kids to get up, get out, and get moving.
Hello.
Hey, Grandma, how about another grape soda?
A public service message on building strong bones for kids from the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of North America and the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
Back here talking about the campus, and if we can, I think we still should have the chart up about this. We want the chart of the land use in the first chart, and what we didn't focus on, we talked about the yellow and the housing, we talked about the academic side, which is the essential component of any university, is its academic core mission. But there are some new initiatives that we're talking about. And one of those initiatives is the UNLV Now. It's gotten a lot of play in the newspapers to some extent, and but it's on the west side of the campus. Can you tell us a little bit about the UNLV now and what we're trying to do?
Sure. Well, this is part of providing a comprehensive campus experience. So the history of UNLV is that UNLV football has played in Sam Boyd Stadium about 6 or 7 miles east of the campus, and we don't have that on-campus football component that brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm and campus spirit. And part of the thinking of bringing a mega event center to campus is to bring UNLV football to campus, so that kind of full-fledged, fully robust campus experience is there for our students, which is very attractive. We've had a lot of support for that. In addition, there's an idea of a university village, which would have a variety of experiences for both events goers at Thomas and Mack and the Mega Event Center, as well as students, faculty, staff, and the community for dining or service or retail at the ground level. And then up above, perhaps classroom, perhaps office, and in coordination with the FAA, if we can get some approvals, perhaps even student housing in that area, to create a very active, lively district on campus that supports student life, campus and faculty life, but also events on campus.
Okay, so let me just want to talk about a couple things. The Mega Event Center, that's that big orange circle on the left-hand side that would be essentially off of Swenson.
That's correct.
Right, in Harmon. And what's it going to be? And it's not, you talked about football, but it's not just about football. Can you?
Well, really a cornerstone is, it's really an economic development tool for Las Vegas and Southern Nevada. We have somewhere around 150,000 hotel rooms, a very robust tourism sector, but the largest events arena we have in the valley is Thomas and Mack at about 18,000 seats. So beyond what it does for the campus, and it's very important to the campus, it's also something that would promote economic development in the valley and allow events to exist here that would be for the community or to support tourism, so that we could bring events here that might not be able to come now because we just don't have the facilities to support it in Southern Nevada.
Okay, so when we talk, we're you know, some people say, well, what do we need is another football stadium? We don't feel, this is not just a football stadium.
That's right.
It is an event center, and we're trying to partner with the community in this kind of activity. And my understanding is that some of the people who we're working with are the owners of the Staples Center. Is that correct?
That's right. We have a partnership with Majestic Realty Companies, who did develop and operate the Staples Center.
So they sort of have an idea about what they're doing.
They do. They're quite capable, quite experienced.
And I think that's a positive thing for us to say that, look, we're working with somebody that has faith in us. Now, one of the other partnerships that's essential for this is if on the bottom part of our chart, there's a series of green areas that aren't there in the first chart, and what are those green areas? I think we're moving things around.
We are, and one of the realities of placing a mega event center stadium on campus is it does displace some things, such as parking, and in this case, some athletic facilities. So we are working very closely with Clark County and McCarran International Airport. There is some land west of campus between Swenson and Paradise, north of Tropicana, and then further west on Paradise that is land owned by Clark County that the airport has a lot of interest in. But we think those might be great opportunities to relocate some athletic and student recreation facilities and maybe expand a little bit on those. And put into use some land that's not effectively used to create a much more positive entry experience to Las Vegas and Clark County from the airport corridor, to put UNLV and its athletic programs right at the front door of the university, and to allow us to continue to accommodate those programs by using that land in a very effective way. So key partnership.
Yes, and I think that's important. It's another kind of indication. We always at the university are trying to partner with other components, whether it's the private sector, whether it's other public officials, and this new green area at the bottom here is important. Now, in the second chart, if we can bring up the second one, which is open spaces, I want to we only have a minute or two, but can you explain, one of the interesting things for me is that a lot of times we think of an urban campus, a metropolitan campus, and there isn't any green, it's just a series of buildings. But I think in this chart, you show how you've been thinking, or in the plan, about green areas. Can you explain what those lines are all over this, the green
Sure.
lines?
On the left side in the existing, you'll see the two malls that exist today, the North and the East Mall. Our plan is to continue that system to create an open space system that connects the entirety of campus. And there's also a variety of kind of distributed spaces that'll create areas that students can spend time, informal, pick-up games, or just kind of contemplative time. The open space of a campus is really very much the fabric that ties it all together, and we can't lose that, and frankly, we need to improve it, and this plan focuses on creating a more consistent and accessible open space network.
Okay, just have a few more minutes here, I think, or a few more seconds, in fact. So the plan is going to be going to the Regents, I believe, in November.
November 29th, 30th meeting is the plan right now.
And we've had faculty input. I know the deans have input into this. This plan is supposed to last for how long?
Generally, we look out about 10 years or so, so we would expect to update this again somewhere around 10 years.
Okay. Well, David, I'm going to have you back again after November. We'll see how the Regents respond to this. And I want to thank you for coming on to the Urban Report. And we're going to take another short break, and we'll have another guest after our break.
At what age is the color that your skin was meant to be no longer beautiful? Every year, millions of young women try to change the skin they were born with and say they die for darker skin. Sadly, some actually do. Melanoma is the second most common cancer in teens and young adults 15 to 29. And one person dies from melanoma every hour. It's time. Change your thinking, not your skin. Stop tanning. Learn more at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
If you could see anything in the world, what would it be?
I'd love to see Paris. I like to see cupcakes falling from the sky.
My daughter, married and happy.
I want to see things the way I used to.
Chances are, someone you love may one day be affected by macular degeneration or glaucoma. Log on to seeabettertomorrow.org or call 1-800-437-2423 to learn about glaucoma and macular degeneration. Call 1-800-437-2423 or log on to seeabettertomorrow.org.
I just want to see more of the things I love.
Something's not right.
My first symptoms were
constant tingling in my toes.
My legs, sometimes they'll go numb.
I had double vision. They said you have multiple sclerosis.
Well, the beginning is the hardest time.
Kind of had to get a grasp on reality.
I had to adapt and change very rapidly.
I had to learn how to drive with my hands. Yeah, that was interesting.
I was a dancer. I don't see walking the way I walk any different than doing a dance. It just looks different. It's a different dance.
You see me have an off day, it doesn't take away from who I am.
A symptom may cause you not to be able to do that anymore. And at one point, I wasn't able to do any of those.
But I would exercise every day.
Since I've been cycling, it's definitely helped my walking.
To make a lot of changes in my life and just adapt to it.
I'm going to acknowledge its presence. I'm not going to discount it, but at the same time, I'm going to try my best to not let it stop me.
It's a fantastic opportunity to be working together with a common goal of curing MS, and sharing is the key.
I want to welcome you back to our third segment of this show of the Urban Report. And I have the real advantage, if I can say advantage, of talking to someone who is a native, isn't that right? A native of Las Vegas, Brian Land. So Brian, you grew up here in Las Vegas, but you went to school. Where'd you go to school?
I went to USC, University of Southern California.
Okay, we won't hold that against you, but you went to USC, and then you came back here, and you currently are working here in town. You own an insurance company.
That's correct.
Right? But you are really working with companies and not individuals. Is that?
Right. Our agency, we specialize in employee benefits and health insurance plans, and so my clients are typically small businesses and professionals. So we have medical practices, small law firms, things of that nature. And so, yeah, I'm kind of on the pulse of small business here in town. Really enjoy it.
Right. And I asked you about your background. You're from Vegas. You went to USC. But I have to tell the people, Brian has been a real supporter of the college. He's on our advisory board. This is your first year on the advisory board, but he's been a real supporter. We've seen him at all kinds of events. And why UNLV? Why'd you get involved in UNLV? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, sure. Even though I didn't go to UNLV myself, just growing up here, I saw that a lot of my friends, kids I grew up with that weren't, for whatever reason, some weren't able to leave the state to go to college, and so having an avenue for higher education in Las Vegas was life-changing for those people. Of course, a lot of my friends chose to go here for a variety of reasons, the hotel program or the business program, engineering, things like that. So I've just seen an impact in those people and what they've been able to achieve since then. And I believe, being from Las Vegas, that UNLV really plays a role in making us a world-class city. And I think we're just still even in the kind of green shoots of that, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot of potential here for for UNLV and for Las Vegas to continue to grow. And in particular with the Greenspan College, I've been really impressed with the variety of programs and how it's interactive with the community.
Well, good, and we appreciate that. I mean, you were with us at the foundation dinner.
Correct.
Right. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a good experience. You, along with 1,000 other people, were there listening to that, and you've been a big supporter. The other day, you were at our advisory board meeting. We were talking about how we connect to the community. So what are some of the things that you heard in those advisory board meetings or at the foundation that struck you as important?
Well, I'll start with the foundation where former President Bill Clinton was the keynote speaker. And I was impressed with the fact that I think the primary point of his speech was that NGOs, non-governmental organizations, of which he has one very successful, have really done amazing things around the world. And it's an American concept, an American idea of really taking private money and private interest in going around where there's needs and being able to meet those needs successfully. I think that he was relating that down to what we could do here at UNLV with public-private partnerships in a variety of areas. And so we benefit from being an entertainment and gaming center, recreation center. We benefit here in Las Vegas from our environment, so the potential for solar energy and things like that. And so that was my takeaway from that's really encouraging. And I know from dealing with small business people every day that people are engaged and people are, I think, optimistic, even in spite of our economic challenges we've had the last few years, that there is a lot of potential in Las Vegas, in the Las Vegas Valley. So I think, if you ask a lot of small business people, are you worried right now? Are you facing challenges? They'll say yes, but if you turn around the other way and say, are you going to quit? They're going to say no, because we believe that in the potential of Las Vegas, and we believe in that the economy will come back in some way. It may look different, and I hope it does. Honestly, I hope we have a little more diversity here.
Okay, but one of the things I think what you're saying in terms of your involvement at the university and your involvement in the advisory board, that one of the things that's going to make a difference in this, and I think this is what you were saying, what President Clinton, former President Clinton, was saying, was that the university is important and people have to be involved, and you've been involved in the university because it will help lead that change in the city, in the community.
Right, absolutely. I think there's no question that when different industries or large businesses or employers look at our community, I mean, they're definitely looking at the quality of the K through 12 system here, but as I think just as importantly, they're looking at the higher education system and are there avenues for attracting good people? Is there research going on and things like that? And I think showing the commitment. And I think we have a real commitment in Las Vegas from residents, alumni, the business community here towards supporting UNLV. And so I think that resonates with large companies when they're looking at, possibly citing whatever their industry is here. But I think that's important, and to see that we do have a level of commitment here. So.
Okay, and you were at the advisory board meeting the other day, and our advisory board meeting has a sort of eclectic group of people.
Yes.
And but we were talking about to make those connections in the community, and you had some ideas about that too, I think. Do you want to talk about that? Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that we talked about at the advisory board meeting?
Of course. I think one of the things we talked about was, do people know what we do? In other words, is there maybe an identity problem when you say College of Urban Affairs? I mean, do people really know? And just as a layman, up until I really got to know you, I didn't really fully know what was going on here at the Greenspan School, and as you were talking about in a prior segment, you see it. It's the gateway to the campus, the building here, and so I think people need to know what is going on here at the Greenspan College, and I think that it's fantastic. So those are some of the ideas we were talking about, how to reach out to people and let them know a little more about the programs here and how they serve the community, and as well, I think you were talking about the debate.
Yeah.
Team and
well, we're going to actually have that on sometime, but we're out of time. But I think it is important that one of the key points that you touched on, and this is one of the reasons that we have the show, is to kind of communicate with people about the university and about our college. And I want to thank you for coming on the show.
It was my pleasure.
And I want to thank the public for watching another edition of the Urban Report. Thank you very much.